Yo, what's up, y'all? We out here, Buff Missionary back in these streets, and we're going to continue our study through the book of Galatians through the lens of 4 questions, a mentality to embrace. What is God saying to me in these verses? What does any thought or idea that stands out have to do with my relationship with God? How does this passage touch or intersect with my life? And what is God's invitation to me in these verses? I believe the Holy Spirit speaks to us in different ways, and depending on our context, depending on our situation, He'll give us the things that we need from a text if we allow ourselves to be inspired by Him. I threw up a little prayer before getting on video to ask for the Holy Spirit to inspire my mind and to help me to gain something valuable and in line with the text as we go into Galatians 4, verses 16 through 20. And this has been good stuff. I've really been enjoying it, learning a lot of new stuff. And just because we've been going through these videos and they've been between, as short as 7 minutes to as long as a half an hour, doesn't mean that I know everything there is to know about these verses and that this is thorough. And if you watch this video, you never need to read. No, there's a whole lot you can get from the text. And there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. And for every single person going through whatever situation you may be going through, you're going to see this through a different lens that's more practical and applicable to you. So keep looking at it through the lens of these questions, and you'll find the application that I believe God has for you. And with that, let's jump right in. We're going to not summarize and kind of stop on the 4 questions at the end, but we'll kind of highlight things that relate to them as we go through the text. Okay, verse 16. Have I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And what is the truth that Paul has been explaining to the Galatians? His fears for them, that they're missing the truth, that they're missing out on the beauty of the changeless promise of Christ because it's easier for them to go back to the standard of the law and measure their lives with that as opposed to accepting the free gift of Christ. And he's like, yo, man, am I your enemy now because I'm telling you the truth? Think about this in practical terms, right? the friends that we have, this is, y'all probably already know where I'm going with this. But the friends that you have out there are the real ones, the ones who agree with everything you say and let you do whatever without any checks and balances? Or are they the ones who will tell you the truth? Are they the ones who will call you out for your nonsense, for your bull stuff? Like, who are your real friends? And you might be asking the question, but I would argue that someone who is unwilling to tell you the truth because they either want to stay in your good graces or they don't want to say anything to offend you, but they'll let you do something that they know is not right and not beneficial for you, I would argue that that person is not your friend. So even though you might be thinking, well, that's the kind of person I would want as my friend, I would argue that that person is not your friend and is not capable of being your friend. I think that there's a good mix that a real friend has of being able to tell you the truth in a way that's going to inspire you to listen. Because on the flip side, on the other end of the spectrum, everybody who tells you the truth is also not your friend just because they told you the truth. Approach matters, right? Words, language matters. Context matters. There has to be an ability both to relate to you and respect you with something that is true. And there has to be that willingness to tell you what is true within friendship. And to me, that is the best way that we can define friendship. If they're not really going to tell you what's good, then I would say that they don't really care about you. So you might have to evaluate your circle and see who's saying what. You might have to evaluate the way that you relate to other people. I'm sure I do. You gonna tell people the truth or not? Would you want to be told the truth or not? Keep it real. This is how we can practically apply what's in the text right here. Just the ideas. You're not someone's enemy just because you want to tell the truth. Verse 17, they zealously court you, but for no good. Oh, yes, they want to exclude you that you may be zealous for them. Interesting. So you have people who want to suck up to you, right? And they want to get you on their side, but for what purpose? No good. It's like they want to take you out of the game by getting you on their side. Interesting. They zealously court you, but for no good. Yes, they want to exclude you that you might be zealous for them. They want to make it seem like what you're doing is so exclusive and so valuable and so important. And now you're pushing their narrative a little bit, right? And you're talking about this other stuff because they made you feel so important. But how about how important God made you feel? How about how important the grace of God on your behalf made you feel? How about how the goodness of God and the changeless promise of Christ made you feel? How about John 3:16 and the sacrifice of Christ? How did that make you feel? And does that other message that these people are talking about, does that make you feel better about yourself than what Jesus did for you? That's how it ends up sometimes, though. Because again, it's hard for us to quantify the sacrifice of Christ, especially if we're looking at it from right here in history. Well, that happened a couple thousand years ago. I can't see that. But you know what you can see? If somebody sets a standard, well, you can check all those boxes. Today, you can do that. So it becomes easier to do that thing than to believe by faith in the other thing, which is Christ. But we can't afford to fall for that trap. Paul is trying to explain to the Galatians, don't fall for that. Don't be fooled. People are trying to get you to sign up for something that's not going to take you anywhere. Verse 18, but it is good to be zealous in a good thing always, and not only when I am present with you. So imagine that. How many of you have friends who, when you're around them, it seems like everything's going cool, but next thing you know, so-and-so is telling you that these people you thought you were mad cool with are saying crazy things about you behind your back. Oh yeah, they want to make you feel like you're in. You're part of the club. You're part of the exclusive group. So they can manipulate you and control you and tap on your influence. But when you're not around, they don't care about you. They're saying all different kinds of things about you. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. And don't be somebody who does that. Keep it real. Do we really have time to waste trying to suck up to other people for the sake of their, what's the word? Simping off of their influence? I don't think so. And some of us think that, well, that's how you'll get ahead in life. Well, I mean, there are morals, there are ethics, there is backbone, there is some sort of pride and self-respect that hopefully comes into the picture, right? Where are those things for all of us when it comes to who we let influence us and the directions we choose to go? Social media got a bunch of people out here simping. It's got a lot of people out here being influenced in a direction. And for what? So they can feel like they're a part of the club? And what do they get from it? Nothing. You think of, oh man, the big thing to come out here in these last couple of years, and maybe since COVID, I think, something like OnlyFans, right? Oh, they want you to subscribe. They want to siphon off of you and make you feel like it's exclusive. But what are you really getting for that? Nothing. But what are they getting off of you? A whole lot of wealth. Don't get used like that. And don't be a person that tries to use other people like that. It's actually pretty sad. It's quite sad. This is what society has become. Man, verse 19, my little children, for whom I labor in birth again until Christ is formed in you. He says, yo, man, we taking this back to basics. And whatever it takes, I'm going back to square one to help see Christ and the importance of Christ in your life again, because it's worth it to me. That's what Paul is saying. I would like to be present with you now and to change my tone, for I have doubts about you. Man. How many people are you willing to go to bat for? How many people, when you see them going down a path you know is not helpful, are you willing to go to bat for? Are you willing to step up for? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you just going to watch them go down a path that leads to destruction or just not a positive place? Or are you going to step up and tell them, hey man, I'm going to tell you the truth. I have to tell you the truth. And just because I'm telling you this, it doesn't mean we're enemies. It's actually an indicator that I'm your friend. I care about you enough to say this. I think in there you can hear hints of what God's invitation to us might be and how this intersects with our actual life. Because being honest is what it comes down to. Telling the truth to help people move in a direction, even though some people might not like the truth. There was a song, I used to watch all these Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen highlights in the day, back when you actually used the two names together and didn't think of all the crazy stuff that Scotty's been saying about MJ. But anyways, one of my favorite videos was this one. It was a highlight video of MJ and Pippen to a song by my son called "The Truth." And in the beginning of it, it would say, "You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth." I don't know if it was like a sound bite or a sample, or if it was just them on the track doing it. But I love that song. I got so hyped. I would watch that before basketball games and all this kind of stuff before playing. But it's like, you don't want to be somebody who can't handle the truth. You want to be somebody who can share the truth, embrace the truth. You want to be someone who can listen to the truth as well. You don't want to be somebody who is telling a bunch of fluff to someone just so you can stay in their good graces, because what's the point? Clearly, just that entire dynamic tells you that something is off and it's not worth it. Don't be afraid to keep it real with the people that you care about, and demand of other people that you care about and that say they care about you, demand of them to keep it real with you. Because that's how we're going to get better, and that's how we're going to grow. People with yes men, you've heard that phrase before, yes man. It's like you go through life and all everyone else ever does is cater to you. Nothing you can do is wrong. Everything you say is gold. Like, that's not productive. You can't grow like that. And I would hate to have a bunch of people around me like that, because I know I'm not perfect. I'm a human. So what about these other humans who have a bunch of yes men out there, knowing that they're just as imperfect? That's kind of crazy to think of. I wouldn't want that. And I wouldn't want to be that. Wouldn't want to be that. But it's the world we live in. And apparently it's the world that they lived in too, with a bunch of yes men, especially on spiritual things. It's crazy. He says, look, I'm trying to be present with you now, and it changed my tone. I've been away for a while. Some things happened when I was gone. That's why I'm writing you this letter in the first place, Galatians. But I need to be present with you now, and I got to change my tone, because I have doubts about you. I have doubts about you. That's a hard thing to say. It's got to be a hard thing to hear as well. But imagine how great your ability to level up would be. Imagine how great my ability to level up would be if I could deliver those words and if I could receive those words well, with a good approach, keeping in mind that the people I'm saying this with are going to be my friends. Man, the level ups that we would experience to be able to share that and to receive that well on both ends. I got doubts about you. I got questions, man. I got some things I want to know for your good, not mine. It's a hard position to be in, but I'll challenge you to say that those of you who are real friends would do that. And I've had people like my close friends, I've shared with them things that I'm up to, plans I got going on, situations or relationships in my life, and they keep it real with me. And I appreciate that, because it gives me more perspective than just what my head is in at the moment. And if you have a bunch of yes men, you never get that. When it comes to these 5 verses and where they fit in the context of this chapter, they're the last few verses in the section called Fears for the Church. So the only conclusion I can come to is that Paul fears that the church is going to become a bunch of yes men. Uh-oh. Oh, it's getting warm in here. Paul fears that the church is going to become a bunch of yes men, people who claim that they have the truth but are never willing to tell it. Wow. Do we have anything like that in our church today? Starting to cut deep, man. I'm getting goosebumps sitting here thinking about it. It's crazy. Because you might have to say, yeah, that sounds familiar. We've been following other people's stuff. We've been taking the smoke and mirrors. When people want to start speaking the truth, we shut them down. We don't want to hear that anymore. Shoot, man. Outside of the church, society does that. These days, you think about the culture wars. You think about social justice. You think about all these different things. People want to tell the truth. Nobody wants to hear it. You're the bad guy. You're the enemy. That's what this thing says right here. And yet the truth is supposed to help people, but because people don't want to be questioned and because people want a bunch of yes men, they don't want to hear the truth. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. They don't want to handle the truth. And then on the other side, you have people who just want to speak a lot of truth, but they don't want to approach in any kind of positive way. Again, social media has given everybody a platform to tell truth, but how much actual relationship is going on there? So they might be saying something that's absolutely true, but they're burning a hell of a lot of people because of their approach. And unironically, that kind of brash, I don't care or give a damn about anybody else or what they think, that's what gets the clicks and the views. So it perpetuates. It's wild. And so you have more people getting offended, but because the shock value is what gets the views, more people do it. And because more people do it, more people get offended, etc., etc., etc. The cycle continues. But is that the kind of society we want to be? Whether in the world, whether in spirituality, whether in religion, whether with just our circle of friends, is that who we want to be? People who can't handle the truth and people who can't deliver the truth well. I got doubts about you. That's wild. I've read through Galatians a few times before, but I don't remember reading that verse before. That's pretty freaking wild. But could you share that honestly, openly, and in a way where people would want to respond and respond well? That is a skill. It is a gift. And I dare say that it's one that Jesus had mastered. The ability to call somebody out without calling them out, but also to kind of call them out in the form of an invitation, an inspiration to do better. That they would accept and say, yeah, I'll do that. Being like Christ is more about that than, on one hand, just being friends with people and being a yes man, or on the other hand, speaking truth with no relationship. Christ is the perfect balance of that. And if we claim to be Christians, then it means that he's our example in that. So for all the Christians out there who are so quick to talk truth with no relationship, you might not be reflecting Christ. For all the Christians out there who want to be buddy-buddy with everyone but never tell the truth, you might not be reflecting Christ. Gotta think about that. I think as an obvious invitation, how can we choose to be people who can share truth well, build relationship to a place where sharing truth can be received well? And how can we be people who are open to the truth, open to being told the truth so that we can improve? Because that might be even harder than sharing truth, is inviting people to speak truth into your life. Come on now. It's interesting. But everyone who tells the truth ain't an enemy. In fact, you might find that more people who are telling the truth are actually looking out for you because they care about you. So let's see. We will see, not tonight, but we'll see how Paul makes this transition and how he expresses his care for the Galatians, despite their struggles, despite their shortcomings, despite the issues that they have and the misconceptions of Scripture, the law, and the changeless promise of Christ. It's going to be interesting. This is a good book. But yeah, I guess we'll find out tomorrow, huh? I'll catch y'all. Let me know what you think down below. Peace.